You you don't have to be a slave to medication. We all should be managing our health like we all have diabetes.
It is reversible, people, through
Yes.
nutrition, through an active, healthy lifestyle.
My A1C was 11.7. Again, what
Oh,
normal between 5 and 6 is where they like
yep.
to see it.
Yep.
He said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you on metformin. That is, the most typical drug that they give you for diabetes. Then he wanted to put me on lisinopril, which is the high blood pressure medication, because that was also a part of the equation. He wanted to do statin drugs. I refused those. And if God's going to take me now, then good. That's what the deal is. I'm not taking the statins. I'm like, so if you want to be my doctor, you're going to respect that wish. And he's like, all right, no problem. He said, listen, take these medications, then try and lose some weight. That was it. That was it.
Hello, everyone. Today, welcome to Driven for Health. I'm Coach Brian Pirana. On today's episode, I have a colleague. This is a must listen. Gentlemen, you do not need to have a serious chronic illness wake you up. But for Brian, unfortunately, it did. It's been actually a blessing in disguise because of some of the changes that he has made since his diagnosis. We'll certainly jump into it. We are often told that as we age, metabolism slows down, pills pile up. If you have that pill box next to your bed with the MTWT, Monday, Tuesday, whatnot, you're doing life wrong. We should not be doing that. And Brian, my guest, is living proof that you can change your life. He went from waking up 5 times a day, not just feeling like he was old man bladder at 80, but he literally ended up, unfortunately, getting diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which caused a big intervention into his life. His whole family jumped in, and it's actually been a family affair. We'll dive in. He gained his life back. He's launched a new career, and at age 56, he feels younger than ever. We're going to go through this fantastic story of his the call to the adventure of the diagnosis, to the victory of losing weight initially, to having unforeseen issues and challenges come up through to now he is in some of his best life. Brian, welcome to the show. Let's start off. What is the big impact that the last couple of years have had on your life, and what's led you to where you're at right now?
Well, Brian, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to really telling the story. The one thing that I think I want to say to everybody and start off with is that you don't have to be a slave to medication. I'm not advocating that you don't listen to your doctor or take the medication, right? That's super, super important. But for the last really 8 to 9 years, with having managed diabetes, type 2 diabetes, with no medication, still not on it, still not on the blood pressure medications. Yeah, those are things that it really took a change, though. It's funny, I say this all the time. You've heard the saying, well, once you have diabetes, you can't get rid of it. Well, that's kind of true because you really do have to manage it. But I say to people all the time, the truth is we all should be managing our health like we all have diabetes. That'll make more sense later on when I talk about different things. So I think that's super, super, super important.
Totally. I've been doing this for 23 years. I've had my fair share of pre-diabetic, type 1, type 2 diabetics I've worked with. It is reversible, people, through nutrition, through an active, healthy lifestyle, through understanding the mechanics of the food that you put in, the environmental factors that are in your everyday life, stress, how you treat yourself and how you treat your schedule. And let's jump in. Take us back to, we talked a little bit before this, but take us back to where you just kept waking up and you were super thirsty. Did you have any idea what was going on, or were you just ignoring the signs and the symptoms, or what?
That's a perfect intro to this because I wasn't ignoring anything. I had no idea what was going on. My wife intervened. You need to go to the doctor. Okay. I'm not a big doctor guy. I don't like to go.
Me neither.
So, most people don't. Okay. I go, she gave me this little list of all the questions I was supposed to ask, right? All right, so I go to the doctor. This is the first time I've been in this doctor's office. Of course, I'm
Right.
filling out the paperwork like normal. I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and waiting. About 30 minutes later, the nurse comes out with a cup and she's like,
Okay.
"We'd like for you to do a, urinalysis." I'm like, "Well, that's a little strange for my first visit, but
Right.
okay, I did it." Then I'm waiting a little bit longer. Then finally, I'm admitted into the waiting room. I'm in there for 40 minutes. And now
Oh,
I'm getting mad because I'm
okay.
going, this guy doesn't respect my time as much as he respects his. I'm thinking this is the last time I'm going to see this doctor. So lo and behold, he walks into the room and he's like, "Hey, Brian, how are you?" But I'm fine. I said, "Listen, I'm here because my wife sent me. I got this list. I got supposed to ask
Right.
questions." He looks me square in the eyes and he goes, "Put the list away." He goes, "You got bigger problems." What do you mean? He goes,
Oh,
"Based
goodness.
on your urine alone, you're pre-diabetic or full-blown diabetic." Unfortunately, then further testing, then they did the blood work, revealed that my blood sugar was 374, which
What's
yeah, it was bad.
normal, just so everyone knows what's a normal range?
That's between 80 and maybe 90.
110. If you're at
Right,
150, you just ate, to
right,
give
correct.
perspective for people.
Yeah. So my A1C was 11.7. Again, what
Oh,
normal between 5 and 6 is where they
yep.
like to see it.
Yep. As soon as you get
So,
six people, then you are definitely classified as a pre-diabetic or even type 2 diabetic. And it's something
correct.
to really take seriously. And unfortunately, 11 is very high. It's not the highest I've heard. I've heard 15
Oh
A1C
my Lord.
and 400 plus blood sugar
Yeah,
levels. Holy moly, right? Real
that
quick
can
before
happen.
we keep moving, what were some of the initial signs, symptoms, just so that if someone's listening
Yeah,
in and they are actually experiencing these things, it's a warning sign, not just, oh, I'm old and I just wake up, ha ha ha, go
yeah.
to the
No, no, no.
bathroom. What are some of the situation where you're, say, your height, your body weight,
Yeah.
all those things that are signs that there is bigger problems.
Yes. Number one, the weight. You mentioned that. That's super important. I was about 40 pounds overweight. And this is the key, Brian. This is really important that I was carrying that weight easily for 20 years.
Okay.
So this is a
So
key
it's
proponent. It's really
been going
important to
on.
understand. Yeah, this doesn't happen overnight. It's not one of those things where all of a sudden you wake up diabetic. That's
No.
not it. It takes I say it all the time. It takes practice to
Right.
get there.
It's a
Yeah,
marathon in a sense, because it's not going to happen overnight, and you're
no.
constantly training your body to respond in a certain way. And type 2 diabetes was the way you were training it,
Yep,
unfortunately.
that's yeah, that's for sure. So some of the other symptoms was that frequent urination throughout the night. That
Right.
was just miserable. I couldn't sleep. And then the worst part of it, believe it or not, was the unquenchable thirst.
Ah,
I can't I, I can't even describe it to you. No matter what you do, if you drink something, you usually can say, "Okay, well, I'm better now. I'm good."
right.
It was awful. It was like I wasn't drinking anything.
My
That
goodness.
was probably the worst part. That piece of it is probably says that's a big warning sign there
Right.
too.
Right.
I was tired, feeling fatigued all the time. Those are pretty much if you're feeling those things and you're out there listening right now, it's time to go to the doctor.
Right. Get your
Don't waste another
A1C.
minute.
Fact. Sometimes also rapid weight loss is a sign of diabetes too, because you just don't know what's
Right,
happening. You're like, oh, I'm losing weight. It's not because you change your lifestyle in a sense, but
right.
that is just another factor to pay attention to if you are listening in and there are sudden changes that happen and occur that way. You should go see the doctor. And we'll just throw that tagline in. We're not medical professionals, and you should consult a doctor about your own personal health and needs around that. Let's have a quick conversation about what's your wife's name?
Kelly.
Kelly. How did Kelly intervene here? Because wives definitely can do that, right?
Yeah, she just knew I was miserable, and she's like always on me about going to the doctor. You don't have a choice. You're going. Okay. If you've been married like we are over 30 years, you
Yeah,
listen to what
that's
you're
awesome.
told sometimes, and those are the
Yeah,
things.
I'm
So,
a 19 in, and I have been with my wife. I've known her since I was 11. But we've
yeah,
been
wow,
around each
that's a
other for a
long
long
time.
time. And
Sure.
yeah, what she says usually goes, because she's
Yeah.
smarter than me and thinks things through a little bit more than I do.
I understand.
All right.
So,
Now let's get into some of the so you back to the doctor's office.
right.
What were some of the diagnosis? What was the say medicine prescription that you're going
Sure.
to take away from there? And then the implications of what you felt leaving the doctor's office and how life was going to change from that
Right.
time.
Well, here's the thing. At that time, I was clueless. Clueless. I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. He said, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you on metformin, and that is, the most typical drug that they give you for diabetes." And then he wanted to put me on lisinopril, which is the high blood pressure medication, because that was also a part of the equation. Then he wanted to do statin drugs. I refused those. And I just did because I'm like, look, this is bad. And if God's going to take me now, then good. Then that's what the deal is. I'm not taking the statin drugs. If you
Right.
want to be my doctor, you're going to respect that wish. And he's like,
Right.
all right, no problem. He said, listen, take these medications. He goes, and then try and lose some weight.
Right.
And that was it.
That
That
was
was
it. Right.
the whole thing.
Unfortunately.
And it's like, so now
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing
Right.
as like a former high school and college athlete. Well, let me get my bike out. I'll start riding like crazy. I was doing 100
Right.
miles a week on my bike. I said, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and do a strict vegetarian diet. As it
Right.
turned out, I didn't realize that it really was more of a vegan diet. I cut out
Yeah.
all
Okay.
animal products, all dairy products,
Gotcha.
and went crazy. I mean,
Right.
I literally was neurotic about it. Within
Real quick
really,
though, real
yeah,
quick, we have to acknowledge it. You've been doing this as your career now, but people don't always take that action, right? They might find out
yeah,
that they have lung cancer and they keep smoking, right? It's literally, I've had clients that I've talked to. So so this and this and this doesn't make any sense, right? Naturally, you'd think that they'd stop. So kudos to taking massive action, right? That is a
thanks.
huge thing for people to hear and understand is he got diagnosed. He did not accept that as truth and what he wanted life to become or be, like actually acknowledging that awareness factor of like, I am a type 2 diabetic. He didn't want to claim that identity. So he went in a different way. And
Right.
certainly there are better ways maybe to go about it. And he'll continue to share. But the point is that he changed. He made a huge effort and made an impact. So continue, Brian.
Okay.
What happened?
So, yeah, so after about 120 days, I've been to the doctor once before this 100-day period, and I had lost about 35 pounds. And the thing about it was the doctor looked at me, he goes, "In my lifetime as a physician," he said, "I've never, ever seen this happen before. My A1C was down to a 5.2, my sugar levels were
Yeah.
normalized, and my blood pressure was absolutely normal." He's like, "I have to take you off the medicine because you can't
Yeah.
stay on it anymore." I'm
Right.
like,
That's
"Oh,
awesome.
oh, well, that's a good thing." I'm like, "So
Yeah.
that's great."
And how
Um,
much weight did you lose at that point?
about 35, almost 40
Okay.
pounds.
Okay.
Almost all of it. I went from 230 and I now is hovering around 190 now.
Okay. On
So this is
paper, the doctor, everyone's, wow, you're doing so good.
correct.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily sound like it was great for you.
No, because then you go to work and everyone's praising you and
Right.
how awesome you look and it's
Right.
amazing what you've been able to do. You're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Right.
I certainly was. But then, interestingly enough, let's fast forward 2 years. I said, it's time. I got to get some life insurance for my family so
Right.
they could be protected. I knew I put a couple pounds back on again. Well, the insurance company sent over a nurse practitioner and they took my weight, blood, the whole deal.
Right.
It turns out I ended up being denied for the
Ah,
insurance. I'm going,
yeah.
what
Right.
happened? Well, I gained
Like,
about 20 pounds because
okay.
I stopped paying attention to, monitoring my blood sugar. All of a sudden now
Okay.
my A1C was 8.2 again and it was
Oh,
over
wow. Okay.
200. Yeah. And again, so why did this happen? Well, when that happened, there's got to be another way. I still really didn't understand the diabetes. It was almost like I felt it was a thing that happened to me, and not I didn't realize it was something I did to myself. So I went back and I tried to read everything I could possibly think of and find and get my hands on
Right.
about what is this all about. And I came to understand that, insulin resistance is really the disease, and I say that all the time. It's
Right.
like people think that it's high blood sugar. Actually, the high blood sugar is the symptom of that underlying problem, which is insulin resistance.
Right.
From there, that's
Can you
when the
define
journey.
that for people?
So sure. So insulin resistance is basically when your cells want to actually take glucose out of your bloodstream so that it can use it as energy. Well, over time, if through poor diet or lack of exercise, those cells become damaged, and when that happens, the insulin that's supposed to allow your cell to open up and allow glucose in so it can be used, it doesn't do it effectively anymore. So what
Right.
happens is now you have elevated blood sugar because it can't get in
Right.
and it can't be used. That is diabetes. That's where the blood sugar.
Right. Listen in,
Fix the
people.
problem.
He's given you a very
Yeah, it doesn't fix
distinct
the problem.
understanding that the high blood sugar levels are a symptom of your body not being able to absorb and have to constantly release more insulin, which then dulls
Right.
your receptors and your hormones and gets your body really out of whack in not a good way.
Exactly. That's why they say the disease never goes away.
Right.
Because if you don't address that, then that stays that way. You have to heal yourself from the inside out. That's where that, again, the journey began there, and understanding that I have to reverse this insulin resistance problem. That's where the resistance training comes in, and actually
Yeah.
eating differently so that the body starts going, wait, this is good. We can use this stuff that
Right.
we're getting now
Right.
and we're going to fix this problem.
You got the insurance denial that woke you up again. And so, what was the shift that happened from that point? It sounds like you chose a different route than you had done in the past to lose weight.
Yeah. So because of what I researched, started to understand that although cardio activity is really, really good for you, and we always will say that, but it's good for your heart, it's good for your lungs. It's actually, for me, it's good for my head. Going out for a walk and riding my bike, those are things that make me feel great emotionally. So those are all super, super great benefits. But what I did, and that cardio created such a calorie deficit when I was riding 100 miles in a week and caused the rapid weight loss. Yeah, it lowered my blood sugar. It actually improved my insulin sensitivity because
Right.
I probably went from around, oh, I don't know, 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day was what I was eating. And then with that shift in the diet and the riding, I was probably down to like 800 calories. This was a huge shift. That was not a good thing because then all of a sudden now my body's slowing down, my BMR slowed down, my
Right.
metabolism slowing down. And then all of a sudden now here I am gaining weight back again because
Right.
I figured, well, I didn't even eat a lot. It felt like
Right.
I didn't go back to my old ways, and I didn't, but I didn't need to. So that was a big, that was like the shift then was to go, how do I eat differently? How do I maintain a certain amount of calories that are good for me and can help improve the insulin sensitivity? One of the things was eating more protein and making sure that that was a part of what I was doing. So, wow, okay, maybe animal products have to come back in, right?
Right.
Because it did.
Yeah.
And
Getting
so,
protein.
why do I care about that? Well, we know that the protein helps us build muscle. The link there is the more muscle mass you have, the easier it is for your body to actually absorb that glucose into your
Yes.
muscles.
Yep.
This is important because it
Not in
gets,
your belly, people.
that
Muscle, you eat food, carbohydrates, blood sugar goes up, your body releases insulin and it stores. It's constantly
correct.
storing and releasing fat and storing and releasing carbohydrates. But when you do this right, you use your muscles as a gas tank, and it's like gasoline going into the gas tank. You take those extra carbohydrates and blood sugar that you ate and it gets stored in your muscle to use because you just worked out recently in the last day or less, and then you're going to move your body some more, and you're constantly using the gasoline, and you're never putting putting too much gas into the system in the first place to
Right.
overfill the gas tank, which is what obesity is people are putting too many calories in their body, more than man, and it's just literally overflowing you're filling up your car and just letting the gasoline pump run and just shooting gas everywhere. That's not it. So what Brian is saying is that you eat, you get stored in muscle, and then you can use it for more exercise, and then it doesn't get stored on your belly or your
Yeah.
butt.
It has that lowering effect of the blood sugar. So when you don't have these huge amounts of insulin, or well, really sugar and then insulin in your system, the body can start to heal itself over time. And that's
Right.
what actually was starting to happen. So that's an important piece of this puzzle. If you are trying to correct this problem, that's a big part of it. Your diet and exercising properly with some resistance training is a big piece of it. And again, cardio is awesome. I love it, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it's got to be a mix of the two, or
Right.
three, I should say.
Definitely. So now you are on to something, right? You're changed your ways, you've learned. Everyone has immediate instant access. We are all living like kings and queens of 500 years ago. You have instant access to whatever you want. We just need to use that for our own personal gain or personal health, and not just attention seeking and being the consumable product on the other end. And that's what a lot of people do. They just scroll and scroll and scroll. But so what's shifted for you in your life now as a result of having the diagnosis in the first place, and then, I guess, lack of better phrase, kind of getting slapped again and like, hey, you didn't learn your lesson the
Right.
first time with the insurance, but now it seems like you did. So what's
Yeah.
transpired as a result of all this?
Well, I can't imagine now living my life any differently. So
Yeah.
yeah, obviously it took some time, but the reality is that I don't want to go through that anymore. It was
No.
awful. It's really not. It was not a fun experience. Eating the right way, you learn to love food again in a different way. And it's funny because growing up in an Italian family, I remember it was an insult if you didn't have seconds. It really was, and
Right.
you were insulting your grandmother. This is
Yeah.
horrible. I don't want to insult anybody,
Yeah. Right.
but those are really horrible behaviors. That's not the way I eat anymore. I've learned
Right.
to enjoy the food, all foods. And that's really, really important. Yeah, that's a big shift because it doesn't happen overnight. It actually happens pretty quickly, but it doesn't happen overnight. When you start eating a balanced diet, again, a whole foods diet, it's a really important part of this whole thing. That's where the big shift is.
Right, right. That is huge. And it's evolved itself, right? At the young age of 56, you are on a new career path and new endeavors. What have you been up to as a result of getting in some best health you've been in the last, 15, 20 years?
You're cutting out, so I
Ah,
don't
there
know if
we
you
go.
can hear me clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you. So what I asked
There you go.
was, we got 10 minutes left, and I'll just chop this part out. But 9 minutes left. So all right, let me rephrase it again. All right, Brian. Well, at the young age of 56, you are now moving in a different direction with your career, with your family. It's come of this challenge that you've had, and now you're in some of the best health you've been in the last, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. So the biggest change for me was this a career change. And as a matter of fact, in July of this year coming up, I will be completely out of the restaurant business, and I've started a coaching business, both a personal training and nutrition coaching business with my son Vincent, who's a Florida State graduate. And this is like so exciting. And I'll tell you what, for me, what's super exciting is that when you have children, and I think everyone relates to this, is that you do everything you can to make sure that they're okay and they're healthy. And you say, what can
Right.
I do?
You
You give them a
provide for
better life.
them.
So now I'm looking at it, what's the one thing I can do for Vin to help him out? And the truth is, it's like my whole life I've worked really hard making money for somebody else. This is it. This is the chance for him to own his own business and become an entrepreneur. And I feel like if I can do that for him and he gets it, man, then he has the freedom in his life to do whatever he wants. And that
Yeah.
that would be like one of my greatest accomplishments. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about this journey with this business with him.
That's awesome. And that's how we met. We're colleagues through business coaching and growing
Right.
our businesses. That's one reason why this podcast even exists, of an extension of, okay, how can I do more? How can I give more? How can I bring really good information, science backed information, and get people to actually do it? Because information is great unless you don't do anything with it. It's just in
Right.
one ear out the other. And that's where this evolution has, and you're going to be living some of the best years of your life and experiencing. I have a 16-year-old son, Levi, and I admire that this is what you're doing with him. And he's ran a marathon already. He's raced an Olympic distance triathlon, and he's a swimmer, and he definitely has, say, the endurance and the capacity and the excitement to pursue what his dad's doing. So I need to
Right.
keep developing myself and my business and capacity to be able to help bring him in and do what you're doing. And it's a really cool role model, and what you guys are doing there. Now,
Cool.
if we could look at, say, some of the strategy, knowing what you do know now, if you could
Right.
speak to the diabetic or the 40-pound overweight version of yourself, what would you say? What is maybe one or two key things that you would tell
Sure.
them? How could you
Yeah.
impact their life?
Number one, a whole foods diet. Basically, if it walks the earth, if it grows out of the earth, you eat it. If it
Right.
doesn't, don't. I use this 90-10 rule. The truth of the matter, we got the holidays coming up,
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Right.
Man, do not deny yourself anything you want on Thanksgiving. Enjoy your
Right.
family, enjoy the food. Why? Because it's one meal out of 365 days in the year.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, if you're on a weight loss journey, it won't matter. It
Right.
really, really won't. So that's super important, and you follow that rule. The other thing is too is that you do the resistance training. You gotta build the muscle. This is super, super important. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go nuts. You just have to make sure you're consistent with it. So that's another piece of it. And then the last part I will tell you, and this is the one I work the hardest on, is trying to get some sleep.
Yes.
Super, super important,
Yep.
right? So 7 to 8 hours. I mean, it's a ritual for me now. I know it sounds crazy, but you almost, I guess,
Yeah.
as the older you get, for me, no distractions. Phone gets off, the television's
Uh-huh.
off. You lay there in the dark. I even use one of those silly little pillows on my eyes. Whatever it
Yes.
takes to get there. And the last part of it, which helps to improve the insulin sensitivity, is this time restricted eating.
Yeah.
It's not, to me, it's not fasting. I know a lot of people say it that way.
Yeah, yeah. You and I are going to agree on this for sure. Is we
Yeah,
can have some restricted time, a time that you eat
correct,
and a time that you don't, and it gives great
correct,
boundaries of when you eat. Go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, because fasting to me is like if you stop eating at 5 o'clock tonight and then don't eat until 5 o'clock tomorrow night, that's 24-hour fast.
Right.
Time restricted eating is if you wake up at 8 o'clock and you stop eating at 6 o'clock, that's time restricted
Yep.
eating. So
Exactly.
there's a 10-hour window. And so
Yep.
we were not designed to eat all day long.
Right.
Just because we have access to it, that doesn't mean
Right.
it's the right thing to do.
Right.
You've got to allow the body and your cells in particular to actually heal. You can't be in a constant state of digestion. The body has
Right.
got to be able to recover and repair. And when you're
Right.
constantly eating, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So
Right.
those are the strategies. And really, honestly, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's it. If you care about that part of it and you say, I don't want to live like this anymore, like it was for me, that's the things you got to do. And really, boy, life gets a whole lot better, a
Right.
whole lot quicker.
And just even lastly, going back to, say, the time restricted eating, I always like to do waiting at least 12 hours from your last meal to your first meal. It even goes back to the 1950s when don't eat
Right.
after dinner. You eat at 6 or 7
Right.
o'clock, and then you wake up at 6 or 7, and then you have, in quotations, breakfast. Well, that's a
Right.
great thing. And having 12 or 14 hours is a very reasonable time to go overnight without food. You don't have to do what the internet says of a
Right.
16-hour, 8-hour window. For me, I get hungry. I'm going
No.
to overeat on that first meal, which then defeats the whole point, because yes, people, you can have
Right.
a 20-hour fast in a 4-hour window and still eat too many calories. And then not only are you over consuming calories, but you're over consuming carbs and everything, and really just stressing your system in that small chunk of
Yep.
time because you haven't eaten anything all day. Excellent. Excellent.
Correct.
Well, Brian, this is awesome. It's so happy that you have woken up in a sense. Kelly called you out, got you to go. She obviously loves you and wants you to be around. And now it's transformed into a business with your son. Now, where can people find you? And certainly this will go in the show notes.
Sure. Sure. You can go to Time Under Tension PT in Instagram or Facebook and even TikTok. So that's the easiest place to find me. We'd love to see a follow there, and hopefully someday to connect and help anybody who's listening here today, because
Yeah.
I'd love to actually share some stuff and see if we can't get you on the right track.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for changing your life to help encourage others. From a 374 blood sugar with going to the bathroom multiple times to being overweight, it was a wake up call that you needed to change. And the biggest takeaway that people should hear is that you shouldn't wait for those signs to show up. If you are over 20
Right.
pounds overweight, you need to take action to start changing that, because that develops, as he said, a training for diabetes, in a sense of overeating and sitting and not moving and having high carbs and stuff. And if Brian can do it at his age, and anyone can do it, and I'm 42, so I'm starting to get up there, and I want to make sure that I too, and all my listeners, are in some of the best health that they can be in the next 10, 20, 50, however much longer we can live, right? So,
Right.
well, thank you for coming on to Driven for Health. I hope that the listener got a lot out of this, and excited to have you have everyone listen to the next episode. Thanks so much
Cool.
for joining. Off we go.
Thanks, Brian.